Hey there, listeners, and welcome back to the Crystal Cove Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Braxton, and today I want to talk about horror movies, but more specifically, horror movies that could actually happen. Now, I think I've dived in that before. I've talked about Scream before, but Scream is definitely the one I think of when I think of horror movies that can actually happen. Like the fact that there's no monsters in the movie. There's no supernatural creatures. There's no end of the world Armageddon, Demogorgons from the upside down. There's nothing like that. There is just two high school students who love horror movies, and one of them has a big vendetta with another student. And they band together and cause mayhem. And it's cool, but it's also scary when you think about it. The idea that, I love horror movies. I love horror movies. But the idea that someone else who also loves horror movies can take them too far as creating them in real time, in real life, with actual people's lives, that's scary to me. That's what horror is to me. Another horror movie that can actually happen is Hush. If you guys haven't seen Hush before, it's really good. I highly suggest it. Hush is about a woman. Spoilers, by the way. This is going to contain some spoilers. So if you don't want to hear about Hush, then you can go watch the movie, or you can just, not listen to the podcast. You can put it on hold and watch the movie or whatever you want to do. But anyway, in the movie Hush, there's a woman who lives in a cabin, just like with one neighbor, two neighbors. Just it's very derelict. That's the word for that. And she's deaf. Yeah, she's deaf and she's mute, so she can't hear and she can't talk. Now that already causes some problems on the horror radar, don't it? The horror radar. Yeah. Anyway, what I mean by that is already frightening as it is. The idea of not being able to talk and not being able to hear, that knocks off a lot of different types of communication, just from like a person's perspective. So, yeah. Anyway, the movie's about the girl, and she lives in this area, and this guy who broke into her neighbor's house, who's a friend of hers, chases her up to her back, like, kind of slide door while she's in the kitchen. So she's right there, but she can't see because it's behind her, and she can't hear it either. So, but she's banging on the door screaming, right? And this guy comes up, okay? He's got a mask on, and he kills her right then and there. And then, here comes the crazy part. He knocks on the glass to get her attention. He's like, okay, I'm going to kill somebody else. But then, he realizes that she is deaf. And that is when he thinks, I'm going to have fun with this. And that is where the movie kicks off. That is definitely where the movie kicks off. It goes into a lot of different stuff. She's a writer, so she's able to see things before it happens. So that's a really cool concept. I like that whole being able to technically see what's going to happen, like the future. That kind of goes into Final Destination too, which is another horror movie franchise, which is very fun. They're actually coming up with a 2020 reboot. 2020. Maybe 2022. Yeah, they're doing that. what else are they doing? They're also doing, well, they're doing Candyman, but technically they've already released Candyman. I think they released it on Hulu or whatever. But anyway, I love the original Candyman, and I love the original movies, except for the fourth one. The fourth one, they tried to do 3D, and the premonitions look nuts. So, if you're interested in a horror movie, I just did quotation marks. It's not really horror. It's not really horror. You know, it's not scary, but it's, if you're interested in a laugh with some friends, that's the Final Destination 4. For some reason, they called it The Final Destination, which is weird. But, yeah, these movies are just things I like to talk about, obviously, because of the podcast. But, I hope you guys enjoy listening to me, talk about these movies and discuss them. And if you do, please, like and subscribe. Please. That would help the podcast out a lot. I know I haven't mentioned that before, but that would help me out a lot. So, thank you guys. Now, please, as I said before, leave comments in the description. Leave suggestions for movies I talk about. Songs, movies. Don't even have to be horror movies. It can just be movies that are artistic, like Perks of Being a Wallflower. That's a great example of an artistic film. It's based on a movie. It's based on a book that is very, very good. And it's about, if you don't know what it's about this guy. It's about this guy who makes mixtapes to express his feelings, which is funny because I do that too. I mean, I don't really do it to express my feelings. I do it because it's fun to do. I can use like old technology, analog technology, which I really like to use. I can put all the songs that I love on a single little cassette tape, and I can put it in my Walkman or my boombox, or even plug it in my truck and listen to it. And I love that. And that's just awesome to me. So in that movie, it dives into a lot of emotional teen situations. A lot of things that you might have dealt with, or someone you know have dealt with, or you might not have dealt with, but you can still relate to. And I get that. That makes sense. And I guess that's about all. Usually I'd have more to talk about, but I think that's pretty much what I want to talk about and talk to you guys about that kind of stuff. Next episode, which is going to air most likely Monday. I'm going to try and talk a little bit about just things that people care about. I guess that's what I do in every podcast, of course. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know what? I'm going to spoil the surprise. You guys will know what I'm talking about and know what I'm going to talk about in the next episode of the podcast. Now, I hope you guys very much enjoyed. And, like I said earlier, please like and subscribe. Hit that bell if you want to get notifications of every podcast I do, of every episode that I release. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Of course, by the time most of you see this, it'll be Friday. And I'm very excited for that. Have a lot going on tomorrow, Friday. And it's the end of the week. Big day. So all of you guys, I hope you all have a great weekend. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Crystal Cove Podcast. And I will see you guys next week.